Let's talk about some must-have handcuffs in our dynasty leagues. There's a ton of handcuff running backs that we can talk about. You can pretty much go team by team, but I have 7 that are my favorite to roster in dynasty leagues. They could be these league-winning type running backs for this season. And of course, we need injuries to happen. I don't think any of these guys are just going to come overtake the backfields in any of these situations. We're going to need injuries to happen. Let's talk about it. Before we get into it, guys, just do me a quick favor there. Smash that like for me. Smash that subscribe if you're new. But let's get right to it. First guy up is going to be KENDRE Miller. And we've been talking about him even from last year as a great handcuff for Alvin Kamara. But this year, even more so going into his second season. He did have some injuries last season, KENDRE Miller. But that last game of the season, I mean, 13 for 73, 5.6 a carry with a tutty. I mean, we know what he can do. He can both run the ball and catch the ball. Don't see him just overtaking Alvin Kamara. But if an injury were to happen to Alvin Kamara, KENDRE Miller is the guy that comes in and gets all of the work. The guy that can handle that type of workload at 6'2", 220. Only 21 years old. So this doesn't even have to be just for this particular season as a handcuff. This is a guy that can accrue and gain value over the next few seasons if he can find himself as that guy in New Orleans, especially after Kamara leaves. Alvin Kamara will be a free agent in 2026. Now, do they resign him? Does he go somewhere else? Who knows? I mean, Alvin Kamara is a guy that he doesn't take a ton of a beating. Like he's not a guy that has a ton of carries, but he's a guy that's kind of a dual threat. So they typically tend to might be able to last a little bit longer than your typical running back. But the opportunity is there for KENDRE Miller, especially with an injury, for him to come in and be like that league winning guy. Derek Carr is a guy that loves to dump the ball off in the backfield. Last year, Alvin Kamara, 86 targets, 75 catches. So just, imagine if he's gone, like where is that work going to? It's probably going to KENDRE Miller. So go out and grab KENDRE Miller if you can. The next handcuff that you need to have is going to be Kamani Vidal going to the Chargers, a rookie. But who is he behind? He's behind an old Gus Edwards, who's more of a goal line type of back, short yardage type of back. J.K. Dobbins is there as well, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So how much trust do we really have in that? And then a Chargers offense that's kind of going through a regime change, going to be running the football a lot more. Vidal's a guy that can play all 3 downs. He can pass, catch, and he can run. But if an injury were to happen to a Gus Edwards or a J.K. Dobbins, or he can straight kind of beat out J.K., maybe he gets the number 2 spot, Kamani Vidal is going to be the handcuff that you want. He's a guy that can put up points. The next must-have handcuff is going to be Jalen Wright, another rookie coming in, 5'10", 210 pounds. Comes into a crowded Miami Dolphins backfield with Raheem Mostert, with Devon Achane. Mostert getting older, Achane unable to stay healthy. So Jalen Wright is that next man up. I believe they drafted Jalen Wright as like the Mostert replacement. So if Mostert were to go down, Jalen Wright, I feel like would slot right into that Mostert role, and then Achane would still continue to have his same role. I don't think Achane's role grows. I think Jalen's Wright role grows if there were an injury to Mostert and Achane as well. If there's an injury to Achane, then he can take that Achane role. But he goes to a great team, an explosive offense, and that's one of the guys that you want. That's the kind of guy that you want in that kind of offense. We saw what Mostert could do last year, staying healthy. But again, he's getting older. Does he stay healthy? Does Achane stay healthy? I think there's definitely going to be some playing time for Jalen Wright. And again, if an injury happens, this guy can take off. Next handcuff we're looking at is going to be Blake Corum going to the Rams behind Kyren Williams. I don't think that he's going to take a ton of work away from Kyren. Maybe it's 75-25, maybe 70-30 at most. But I think that Kyren is still going to handle the majority of the workload. The problem is that Kyren can't stay healthy. He's a smaller back. He's not the type of guy to take on the workhorse role that the Rams are trying to give him. He wasn't able to stay healthy last year. He's already dealing with injuries this year. We didn't even start the season yet. Blake Corum, another guy that can handle all 3 downs. You just insert him right in for Kyren. If Kyren were to go down, Corum is that next guy up. There's no other competition in that backfield. Don't think he's just necessarily going to take away the job from Kyren Williams. That is a long shot. But he can absolutely be what Kyren Williams is if he gets that opportunity. So Kyren Williams goes down, Blake Corum gets injured right in, automatic league winning type running back. Next handcuff running back to stash is Chase Brown, second year on the Cincinnati Bengals, 5'10", 211. Last year, Kinda had a role in the second half of the season as, like, that 3rd down kinda guy. Now they did sign Zach Moss, so you would expect Zach Moss to take most of that 1st and 2nd down work, and maybe Chase Brown becomes that 3rd down guy, that pass catching type guy. Much other competition in that backfield. The Bengals seem to really like Chase Brown as well. So if Zach Moss goes down, if there was an injury to Zach Moss, Chase Brown essentially kind of takes all of that work. Again, in a good offense, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, right? The running back can be very valuable there. Joe Mixon was never a very efficient type of running back, but he's a guy that just got a ton of volume in a good offense. And we saw him score a ton of touchdowns, both rushing and receiving in this offense. So having that handcuff in Chase Brown can really pay off for you. Next handcuff running back I really want to have is Dameon Pierce. He's not a guy that I particularly love, but he's a guy that's in a good offense. Obviously, he's sitting behind Joe Mixon, so he's probably not going to get a ton of work at all, especially with the contract extension that they gave Mixon. But the primary backup right now is Dameon Pierce. There's not much other competition in that backfield. So if Mixon were to go down, we already saw Dameon Pierce pretty much be able to handle that type of workload. So in a CJ Stroud-led offense with all these weapons at wide receiver, having a running back in a top offense is definitely a good idea. And the last guy I have is going to be Tyler Algier of the Falcons. I know that Bijan is the guy, right? There's no doubt about that. But again, if Bijan were to go down, a good offense, you have a quarterback now in Kirk Cousins, some guys that can catch in London and Pitts. So a good offense, that running back should do well. And if Bijan goes down, that next guy up is Tyler Algier. We've already saw him have 1,000-yard season, so we know that he's capable of that. So he is definitely a must-have handcuff running back that you should focus on in Dynasty. So those are 7 running backs that I really like as handcuffs. There are a few other guys, honorable mentions that I'll mention here. Maybe they don't take over the whole 3 down workload, but they can be very valuable handcuffs and backups. Guys like Rico Dowdle on that Cowboy offense with an older Zeke. Is Zeke going to be able to stay healthy? Guys like Rasheen Ali on the Ravens. Can Derrick Henry stay healthy? Guys like Ty Chandler, where Aaron Jones has definitely not been able to stay healthy the past few years. So Ty Chandler is a very good handcuff to have as well. Charbonnet in Seattle, another good one in case K9 goes down. Of course, you've got kind of the upper end guys that are kind of more there for the future, not necessarily just as the handcuffs, but they are handcuffs this year. You know, more toted guys like Marshawn Lloyd, Trey Benson, but those guys were brought in more towards like the future and definitely having a role. But that wraps it up for the handcuffs in Dynasty. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. What do you think about some of these guys? And did I miss anybody? Is there anybody maybe that I should put up here that I didn't? Like I said, again, there's a ton of guys that you could put up here. You can go up and down every team, but these are just some of my favorite guys. So before you guys get out of here, just do me that quick favor. Smash that like for me. Smash that subscribe if you're new. It's a great way to support the channel. It's free. And if you want to get in the Discord, it is free as well. Discord will be in the description of this video. Hype right in. We're talking Dynasty every day. So until next time, see y'all on the next one.